Hmm.
Hello everyone, I'm Kanika Bali. I'm a chartered accountant and I'm here. I welcome you all on behalf of HPKV Group to an online webinar on IBC with Mr. Manish Gupta. Mr. Manish Gupta is a chartered accountant. He has vast experience in the insolvency arena. He is also a very active journalist and is a very famous speaker on uh, important issues relating to our economy. Mr. Gupta, we are glad to have you here. I request you to give us some valuable insights on the IBC code. So, my first question is this, sir. Can you just tell us what are the recent amendments in IBC Code 2016 which were taken by the government due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, first of all, Kanika, thank you very much. Let me tell you, see, we are discussing about the opportunities, a professional opportunity in IBC. But
Yes, sir.
due to this pandemic, there are certain changes which has affected the professional opportunity, that is for sure. So some opportunities are reduced for the time being, but not for permanent. The important changes are two. Change number one, the earlier amount to trigger the insolvency was rupees 1 lakh, meaning thereby if one company owes more than 1 lakh or more to other, then a case of insolvency arise if there is a default. Now this amount has been increased from 1 lakh to 1 crore,
Okay.
meaning thereby, so if anyone has to file a petition of insolvency under section 7, 9 or 10, then the amount of default should be 1 crore. One. So
Okay.
this is a big change. So wherein all the SMEs who were having some 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 lakhs, they are not able to file uh, the case until and unless this amount reaches to 1 crore. So
Right.
a big size of companies, SMEs, and person who has given the loan or who has given the business credit or operational credit they are not able to file the case at present.
Okay.
I really don't estimate that when this amount will be reduced. At least for next 6 months, it will not be reduced. It is heard in some circle that it may reduce after 6 months. So
Okay.
let us hope for the best for next 6 months, after 6 months. And now we talk about the second amendment, which is recently done by uh, Amendment Act, wherein
Right.
the charging section of IBC and Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, Section 7 for financial creditors,
Editors,
Section 9 for operational creditor, and Section 10 for the
corporate
self
debtor.
yeah, corporate debtors.
Yes, sir.
These three sections are disabled for 6 months. And
Okay, you
this
mean to
period,
say they have put the moratorium on them?
no. Let me finish this statement. So this is stayed for 6 months and it can be stayed for further 6 months. Means government
Okay.
has the power to enhance it by till 1 year. So what does it
Okay.
mean? I want to tell you. Means in this act, section 7 is not operational for the notified period. That is 6 months. Means
Okay.
if I am a bank or I am a finance creditor or I am a home buyer, if I have to file a case before a company in NCLT, then this section is not in operation.
Okay.
So this charging section is not operational. That means till next 6 months from the notified date, there
Yes.
will be no case filed against any defaulter.
Sir, excuse me, I had one question. What is the notified date? Is it 31st March or 30th April?
It is I think 30th April. I'll check the correct date. I'll let you know.
Okay.
It is, है ना? So
हाँ जी sir.
from this date to 6 months, the case is not operational. And
Okay.
before that, case was not filing. From the date of 22 March, there was
Right.
lockdown, so case was not filing. So
Okay.
from 22 March to till now, there is no case filed, and for next 6 months, cases will not be filed. So for section 7, cases will not file. Section 9, cases will not file. Section 10, cases will not be filed. So that means on the one side, there is a great relax to the defaulting companies.
Right.
On the other end,
Agreed.
there is a difficulty and a difficult time for those who has given credit, whether it is business credit or a financial loan. They cannot file the case before such corporate debtors. Now, the biggest worry is, the biggest hit will be on the SME side. SMEs those who are having 20-30 lakhs investment in their business operations, they and good credit on 10-15-20 lakhs, they cannot file any case on such defaulting companies.
Agreed.
I understand, yes, I understand that government should consider the cases where the default is arising from last 2-3 years. They should not stop every insolvency to be not to be triggered. What they should have done, they should allow the companies which are facing default from last 2-3 years, and those who are defaulting in from last 3 months or due to pandemic, they should not be allowed to trigger. But government has simply disallowed everyone to file the case. This is, I think government should consider this point and should make some relaxation. On the other end, the insolvency professionals, those who do not have any case, will not have any case for next 6 months.
Right, I agreed, sir. So we can focus our time on studying the code instead of marketing activities. What do you say?
Yes, exactly. Definitely, there will be no case for next 6 months. Achha, one more thing I wanted to tell you. On the one side, these 3 provisions are stayed. On the contrary side, where in the previous Companies Act 1956, there were section 433 and 434 of Companies Act, wherein it was the creditors compulsory binding up, where it is just and equitable to bind up the company. Relevant, those corresponding sections are not available in New Companies Act. It means a creditor does not have any remedy in Insolvency Act as well as the Companies Act. Means if you have any dues on the company, now there is no remedy available in the Companies Act to recover their dues. It is the just only option is to file the civil suit before the court, which we know the Indian judiciary system takes a lot of time in resolving such cases. So these are the amendments and impact on the economy as well as the defaulting company and the person who has given the loans and the credit.
Yes, now, sir, very well explained. Sir, my following on this reply of yours, what is coming into my mind is this, that once the moratorium is lifted, then do you think there would be ample opportunities for IBC professionals?
Yes, see, again, I'm trying to tell you, this is not moratorium, this is stay of section. Section itself is not an operation. Moratorium means this section is in operation, but there is an immunity to a specific person. Here there is a general section is not in operation. It means you understand the section is not there for some time.
Right.
So moratorium is little different, where some specific person or corporates get some immunity against such actions, like they cannot file the case and all. So moratorium is little different. So you were talking about the professional opportunities.
Once these sections become active, once we overcome the pandemic and these sections are operational or active as before, then do you think would there be ample opportunities for IBC professionals?
Yes, definitely there are a lot of opportunities. We understand that in the Europe and US, insolvency lawyers and those insolvency professionals earn very good money. over there. And in India, this profession is getting maturity slowly and gradually. So in next 1 or 2 years, we will have ample work. And once, as I told you, the chapter 3 of this code that relates to the bankruptcy of individual and partnership firm, once this will be notified, huge scope of insolvency professional, huge scope for insolvency professionals will be available. We will have, every professional will have at least 10 to 15 cases, because there will be lot of issues which
Okay.
will come to judiciary, and through DRT it will come to the insolvency professionals. Yes.
Well,
And
well
one
said,
more
sir.
thing,
Yes, sir.
yeah, one more thing, section 7, 9, 10 is state only. Otherwise, those company where already cases were filed and order of insolvency were given, CIRP was started, these cases are running very well without any
Okay.
problem. Like, I am insolvency professional working as IRP or RP in two companies. There,
Okay.
the work is going as usual. It is not a state. So those companies which are in CIRP process, at any stage, they will continue to run. And further,
Okay.
since we know that this law is a time bound law, then such period of lockdown with effect from 22 March till the last date of lockdown, or any time as extended notified by the central government, it will be excluded from their counting of 180,
Yes.
270 or 338 days respectively.
Okay.
So the, for those insolvency professional who are already working in a company, as whatever position they have, they will continue to work. So this is the situation, that current insolvency professional who got the assignment are working, but new opportunities will come after this pandemic period. Though
Okay,
there
sir.
are a lot of opportunities which we will discuss.
So, one thing is coming into my mind, that how can MSMEs take maximum advantage of IBC Code 2016? MSMEs usually have less capital. They are small companies, but they face challenges while recovering dues from their say debtors, or from their clients. So, how can they effectively use the provisions of IBC Code wherein they can get their money quickly?
Kanika, there is a every time a one move has two aspect. See, if we generally we discuss it with an example, when we buy the grocery and vegetables at higher price, we will say, "Dekho, it is so prices are so rising." You know. On the other hand, if we buy the cheap vegetable, then people will say, "Okay, farmer is not getting anything; he is getting poorer." So there is both side of one coin. You know, if I talk about the benefits of MSME, yes, benefit is that whatever credit they have given to credit they have taken from the banks, finance companies, or from their other units, or they have taken the business material purchase services they have taken. If they do not pay, then there will be no threat on them that there will be insolvency proceedings against them may be initiated. But on the other end, they can also not able to file the case against the company. Now, what is the real conclusion? If we can compare, we will see that most of the MSMEs are not the corporates.
Yes.
Whereas they provide the services and delivery to most of the corporates. So they have more difficulty in getting their dues and their collection from their debtors. Though they have not given the financial loan to anyone, but their dues, their debtors are corporate or LLPs. So MSME will have the side effect of this provision, where they will not be able to collect their monies. So in my opinion, there is double side effect there, or so specifically there is no benefit. It is case to case. Suppose one SME has few no dues to creditors and it has taken money from other people, it has the benefit. On the other side, one company which has given credit to corporates, it may not be able to collect their money. So it is not beneficial to them. So it is a case to case basis. But however, in summarily, it is not much beneficial. So this act, I would say, that should be reconsidered by the government.
Okay, fine. Well said, sir. Well said. My another question to you is this, sir. Can you just share your thoughts on your experience in dealing with the NCLT or NCLAT? Can you share some practical experience or difficulties faced while dealing with these authorities? Or you can give us some tips for visiting them and sorting our queries.
See, first of all, if I'm addressing this to our chartered accountant fellow or CA, CS, CMA fellows, then few things we need to understand. Unlike income tax handling, we will not get every time extension from the NCLT. The
Right.
NCLT court is very fast, quick, they understand the matter easily, and generally they do not give much relaxation unless there is some concrete material with you.
Okay.
See, whenever we see on the movies and we hear that we got the date and all, every time they can get the date easily in other courts. It is not very much practical in the NCLT and NCLAT. Usually, you get a 6 days, 7 days, 4 days dates. So when you want some to be prepared or some information to be added, so they will give you 7 days, 10 days time. So it is a very time bound law. Judges do not give relax on the small issues unlike other courts. So you have to be very specific, focused. This act is very time bound. Probably this is the first law of India which is time bound in almost all the manners except relaxation given to the adjudicating authority while handling the case with the adjudicating authority.
Okay.
So this is very important. You have to be precise, focused, clear. You have to have all the documents with you always. And second important thing is, unlike other court, NCLT and NCLAT, here you chartered accountants, CS, company secretaries and CMAs, you can also file the petition with your name. You can appear before such courts and argue. So here you have the equal opportunity like the advocates. You have the formal business professional opportunity to file the petition, to do argue and all. So these two things you need to we follow take in mind while dealing with the NCLT and insolvency profession. And this is to be clear that NCLT is not only for insolvency but for all the matters of Companies Act which were earlier handled by the Company Law Board CLB.
Yes. Right. So, anything which you would like to add from your experience as an insolvency expert?
See, we have a lot of opportunities for insolvency professional, whether basically you were a chartered accountant or advocate. So we should explore the insolvency professional only when you want to spend your full time on this. If you are doing otherwise generally good practice of law or of accounting and finance, then this profession will demand lot of time, so it will be a difficulty. So while entering in this profession, you need to be very focused and clear that I have to spend my full time on this, I have to get the expertise in this, and then only you should enter this profession. Give ample opportunities for chartered accountant to become the insolvency professional or to argue before the court, to file the petition and all. Apart from this, you can be the authorized representative of the company, where you will only attend the meeting and you will get good remuneration just for attending the meetings. So
Okay.
usually real estate companies or other big companies have 1, 2, 3 AR for
Okay.
the company. So whenever one insolvency professional, if and see this authorized representative can be only insolvency professional can be appointed as authorized representative.
Okay.
So this is a professional opportunity you can explore your in this area. Apart from this, uh, insolvency professional can become the advisor of the resolution applicant. He can have the entrepreneurship skills by giving expression of interest in and doing the job and working of resolution applicant, wherein you will offer the company to take over offer to insolvency professional to take over the entire company and its business. So
Right.
on the one side, you were simply doing some practice, and on the other side, by joining hands with capitalist people, you can take over the company which may be having 50 crore, 20 crore, 100 crore projects in hand. So in one jump, you will become the big businessman. So this resolution applicant, it is a big opportunity for the chartered accountants or professional fellows.
Okay.
So apart from this, you can also be the advisor of insolvency professionals for their compliances. You can also be advisor and CFO, finance head of the companies which are into insolvency.
Okay.
Apart from this, you can by passing the course of valuation, you can be professional valuer as well as forensic auditor. See, it is to be it is I want to tell you that
Right, sir.
every company which is into insolvency, we need to appoint the forensic auditor, transaction auditor, and we have to appoint the two valuers for each case. So here where one insolvency professional is appointed as IRP, he will appoint a forensic auditor, transaction auditor, as well as two valuer. So by this way, he is further giving the employment to other people. So it's not employment, but it is giving the professional opportunities to other people. Apart from that, you can be the support service provider to the insolvency companies, like the companies where there are huge number of creditors, like 200, 500,000, 2,000, 3,000, like home buyers cases. There,
Yes.
there are some people who are offering their services to verify the claim, to assess the claim, to support the claim, to making the helpline.
Okay.
And similarly, some people are offering the services of making the websites and a display of services, communication module with the creditors and the corporate debtor as well as the IRP, and similarly other legal and secretarial services to the IRP. These are also some professional opportunities which is chartered accountant, CS, and LLB. I mean, they can also offer. G.
Very, very nicely explained, sir. So here we come to the end of our session. Sir, I would like to thank you for sparing your valuable time and giving us such wonderful insights into the IBC profession. I think our webinar will be of great use to people who are tracking IBC and want to make their future into this arena. I would request all to please watch our video, like our videos, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mr. Gupta.
Thank you, Kanika ji. Thank you.